I'm president of the French Club, vice president of student council, editor of yearbook, and I'm also on the tennis team.
This is my 5th re-upload of this video. Viacom has been blocking this video for over 2 weeks. So that's partially why this delay has happened. I just hope that I don't get blocked again, but here's the video. So it's been a month since I've uploaded, but listen, there's a reason for that. I've been studying and doing what I always do when I want to procrastinate every final season. Usually, I end up rewatching TV shows, mainly animated, that I've already seen. For my final semester of my undergraduate degree, it was Daria. Daria is an animated TV series that aired from 1997 to 2002 on MTV with 5 seasons and 2 movies. This was back when MTV used to have interesting TV shows. The series follows Daria Morgendorffer, a young, intelligent, cynical high school girl in the world of popularity-obsessed teenagers who attend Lawndale High. Upon rewatch, I was reminded of how important the characters on the show were for me as an adolescent, and also how much I disliked Daria as a character. My favorite characters have always been a variation of Jane, Brittany, Jodie, and Trent. In general, I liked all the other characters on the show except for its protagonist. Today, I want to talk about a character who was Daria's foil, and also a character I related to a lot as a high school student, Jodie. I want to talk about 3 aspects that were very important to her character: her tokenization as a character, the nuance of her character, and the pressures that she faced as a character, all aspects of my life as a young Black teenager. We are first introduced to Jodie Landon in the episode The Invitation, which was the 2nd episode in the 1st season. We see that Jodie is a popular student as she is friends with Brittany, a vapid but hilarious cheerleader who has invited Daria and her friend Jane to her house party. Not much is developed in this episode, but as the seasons unravel, we quickly learn that Jodie is just as intelligent and sarcastic as Daria. However, she differs from Daria because she is more pragmatic and holds her critiques of her classmates back often, and for good reason, which we will go into later. Jodie is one of the few Black students at Lawndale High and is heavily involved with extracurricular activities, being the president of the French Club, vice president of the student council, editor of the yearbook, and she is on the tennis team. She is over-involved mainly at the behest of her parents and often doesn't have time to do other things. Her boyfriend, Mac, is not nearly as overachieving as she is, and they often struggle with having time for one another as Jodie is so busy. Unfortunately, Jodie's character did not have a lot of plot lines involving more than a line or 2 from her, but I think the most character development we saw concerning Jodie occurred in the later seasons, especially in the 4th season and in the movies. Beginning with her tokenization as a character, we see that even the writers themselves were aware of Jodie's tokenization, both by the show and at Lawndale High. I'm sorry, I'm going to keep saying the name like that, as Jodie often critiqued this on the show. My favorite scene of this critique has to be from the episode I Loathe a Parade.
Isn't it great how they keep electing us homecoming king and queen every year?
Yes, it's such a generous and enlightened gesture. It completely makes up for the town's utter lack of diversity, in my mind.
And we're playing into it.
Damn college applications.
This is so humiliating. Why play into this stupid charade any more than we have to?
What happened?
Oh, what the hell? We may be tokens, but we're damn good-looking ones.
In this episode, there is a homecoming parade going on, and Jodie and Mac have been chosen to be the homecoming queen and homecoming king. While they stand on the float, they say some pretty profound things for an animated show in the 90s. While in this episode, a most odious relationship begins between Daria and Tom, and so I disliked this episode a lot as a teen. This scene is so good because, for one, It notes the way tokenization is so common in spaces without many people of color. This was something that happened to me a lot in high school. I was supposed to always represent and explain for all Black people at all times. What I also love was that when Jodie immediately notices the young Black girl in the crowd, she stands back up, noting the importance of representation for young Black children. Something that always bothered me about Daria was always her black and white thinking when it came to the way Jodie navigated her experiences at Lawndale High. I suppose this bothers me so much because, yes, sometimes I do think in black and white like Daria does. However, Daria always lacked a deeper understanding of the racial dynamics for Jodie, and so her criticisms of Jodie always pissed me off. A good example of this is in the episode Gifted in the second season. Daria and Jodie are invited to tour Grove Hill, an elite school for gifted students. However, Daria criticizes Jodie for wanting to be a student in such an elite school. Of course, Daria is right in the end. However, Daria is unaware of the pressures that Jodie faces as a Black student, as Jodie reveals in the episode.
And you'll understand what works for me now. At home, I'm Jodie. I can say or do whatever feels right. But at school, I'm the queen of the Negroes, the perfect African-American teen, the role model for all of the other African-American teens at Lawndale. Oops, where'd they go? Believe me, I'd like to be more like you.
In another episode called Partner's Complaint, we see the same dynamic as Jodie and Daria are partnered for a real-world economics project. Jodie convinces Daria to try and get a bank loan for their project. The first bank executive they approach is skeptical and specifically asks for Daria's parents to be co-signers of the loan. Jodie is angry at the brush-off and becomes further irritated with the executive's sycophant attitude when he realizes who Jodie's father is. Jodie's father is a businessman and an entrepreneur. Jodie berates him before walking out. However, at the second bank, Jodie changes their tactics and states her family's name right away, securing a loan for them but also annoying Daria, causing them to have a fight. In the end, Daria and Jodie make up, but do you see why I do not like Daria? Like, why did Jodie apologize? Daria was annoying, but Jodie did not have to apologize. Daria was being unreasonable. A huge similarity that I always connected with Jodie was the amount of parental pressure she was under as a young Black girl. Her parents are exactly like mine, and in high school the pressure was just way too much. Jodie's parents, Andrew and Michelle Landon, have very high standards and expectations. They push Jodie to be the best in everything, always behave, and have a well-rounded college application. We see this aspect of their relationship in the episode The F Word. In this episode, Mr. O'Neill gives the class an assignment in which they must find a task that they are sure to fail at. The hope is that students will learn that failure is not that big of a deal. Jodie asks for a break from extracurricular activities from her parents and fails as they disagree. Also, in the movie, Is It Fall Yet?, Jodie spends most of the plot complaining about the amount of work she is under and how she has been unable to see or meet Mac over the summer. Again, she's doing all of this for college applications. While I did have a genuine interest in my extracurricular activities, I also had the greater sense that I had to do as much as possible to be able to get into a good university. My summers were spent working, volunteering, and even when I was younger, I would spend half my summer preparing for the material in the next school year. Summer was never just for fun.
Jodie, what have you been up to this summer?
Soup kitchen, crisis center, Congressman Sachs office, fundraising, golf lessons.
Isn't she something? Oh, yes. And Michael, is it? What are you doing this summer? Driving an ice cream truck.
Oh.
We see the extreme extent of parental pressure in the second movie, Is It College Yet?, as the Lawndale High students send in applications to universities. Jodie wants to go to Turner, which is basically HBCU, so think Howard, while her parents want her to go to Crestmore, think Harvard, because Crestmore is an elite school that will provide her with more opportunities. Jodie spends the film upset because she is tired of being the only Black student and wants to be able to focus on her academics rather than overachieving as a representative of all Black people. Like Jodie, I had always wanted to go to a school with other Black students, like HBCUs, but sadly there are no HBCUs in Canada. While I always knew that it was and has never been my job or any other Black person's job to be a respectable Black representative in white spaces, is I do not care for respectability politics, and I believe that's a futile endeavor and a waste of time. Other people always held me to this standard that I did not really care about. I could never catch a break. I don't think I ever will if I continue to live in Canada. And so this aspect of Jodie's life was very, very relatable to me. In the end, Jodie applies to both Turner and Crestmore, but knows that her parents will never agree to let her go to Turner. However, with the help of Mac, we see that Jodie's parents are understanding, as they ultimately only want what is best for Jodie.
Okay, obviously you found out I went to see your father.
And told him what I confided in you.
Look, I was just trying to help.
Yeah? Well, as a result of your butting in, I'm going to Turner.
You are? That's great.
My parents said if I was so upset about Crestmore that I'd applied to Turner behind their backs, they had to respect my feelings. They told me I'd earned the right to be treated like an adult.
I knew you'd work it out.
I wouldn't have worked it out without you.
Recently, it was announced, much to the chagrin of many white Daria fans, that there is a spin-off called Jodie coming soon. Most people wanted to see Daria and Jane, and I hope they'll appear on the show, but I'm excited for there to be a show just based on Jodie, because Jodie was a depiction of young Black teenagehood that is not really showcased. Talk less of live action, but in animation too. Jodie was the overachieving, super stressed out Black girl, and that was literally my life in high school. And I felt so seen when I watched this movie for the first time in high school. So I'm looking forward to the new show just about Jodie. So I titled this video an ode to the overachieving Black girl because as I was watching Daria, it was really crazy to me how even as I saw this reflection of my high school self in Jodie, I realized that in college, not much had changed. I was still very much overachieving, doing X, Y, and Z things, and facing a lot of pressure, parental pressure, all these kinds of things in order to achieve some goals. But now that I'm looking back on my undergrad experience, I realized that I was doing so much. I really did not take breaks. I was always doing 11 things at the same time, and was trying to do so much because one, I like doing a lot of things. I'm not the type of person to sit still and not do many things and volunteer work and do YouTube and write and still go to school and have all these extra things going on in my life. I enjoy it, but I also never really knew how to take care of myself. I never allowed myself to have a break, to relax. I don't even know how to relax. And so this video is for not just me, but all of my overachieving Black girls out there. And just know that you are doing more than enough. There's no need for you to run yourself ragged. And so, yes, this is an ode to the overachieving Black girl. This is also a message to all overachieving Black girls out there. Please take a break because we all really do deserve it. Thank you everybody for watching. I know this was really short, not as long as my usual, but I wanted to do something a little bit fun, a little bit different. I'll be back with more content pretty soon. Again, I'm sorry for not uploading in a month. I was just doing way too much. I really wanted to savor my last month as an undergrad student, even in the midst of exams. Don't forget to like and share the video and subscribe to my channel if you like what I do on here. Let me know if you've ever seen Daria in the comments. Who was your favorite character in Daria? Did you love Jodie? Did you not like Jodie? Let me know in the comments. You can follow me at Black Wahala on all platforms. That is Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok to hear more from me. I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye!